Hey, Bob Fleener from Acme Salt Company today. Having a delicious recipe we're going to go through today. It's a loaded queso dip that we love a lot. It's really delicious with tortilla chips, a bunch of different things too. Really great for your Super Bowl parties, just parties in general. Really delicious, and it's got a few steps to it. So we want to make sure we take you through the process correctly, and we're going to do that now. So we start off with some bacon, and we are going to fry this in our pot to get it all done. We're going to render the fat that's out of this as well. We're going to put that into, sorry, let me turn this down a little bit. We're going to render the fat out. Then we're going to add burger to it, ground beef as we go, and some of our barbecue, Acme barbecue. So again, what we want to make sure is we're cooking the bacon to render the fat from it itself. Again, lots of flavor profiles going on with this stuff. It's really delicious. From the cheese, we're going to make our own little homemade little rotel dip that's going to go into it as well. Okay, so you can see a really hot pan, and we're just going to cook this thing until we brown it up really well. Again, render the fat, and we'll move on to the next step. As I said before, there's a couple different steps to go with it. From the bacon and the burger cooking, there'll be a lot of stuff. This is basically going to take us 30-ish minutes or so to get done. Just be aware, this takes a little bit of time. Okay, so we have some really nice crispy bacon here. That's what we're looking for, is something that's like that. That looks beautifully crisp all the way through. We're going to strain this, keeping the fat, because we want to use that for when we cook the hamburger, and some of the onions when we do the next steps as well. So we put it in there to degrease a little bit some, get all that grease out of there. We're going to take about 2 tablespoons or so, put back in the pan, and then we're going to use our ground beef. This is Marble Mountain Meats. They do delicious ground beef, beyond other things too that goes with that. So if we love the local angle of that, that's going in the pot next. So back on the burner, and then also what we'll do is we'll kind of spread the meat out a little bit some to create a faster surface area. It'll cook a little quicker, because all we're going to do is cook the ground beef till it's done. That's all we're looking for. So again, you see me kind of pushing it around a little bit some to get it all done. What I'll do is, you saw beforehand, I had a lid, just a fast little lid on here. This traps the heat inside and allows the cooking process to happen a little quicker as well. So we're going to brown this on one side. When we flip it over, then we'll add some of our Acme barbecue to it, and then finish it up. And it'll be pulled out and set in the same bowl as the bacon itself as we move on to the next step. So we're browning the meat up a little bit some. That looks really good. We flipped it over a little bit some. Again, we're pounding on this stuff to make small little chunks. We're looking for something like this. That looks good. So then with this, we have about a teaspoon of the Acme barbecue. Awesome. Lid back on to catch up heat really fast and get it cooked so we can move on to the next step. So far, so good. It's looking great. Okay, so we got the ground beef cooked all the way through. That looks great. It really smells good. From here, we're gonna actually drain this out and move on to the next step. That next step is the process of this. If you noticed, I've strained out the bacon bits, right, from the grease itself, which is left right here. We'll continue to use this for cooking the onions as the next step and those kind of things as well. So now we're just gonna strain the beef out into that. So the beef juice, we're not interested in keeping that. And so that's why you see it separate. We've saved the bacon grease as a great fat for sauteing onions in our next step, onions and garlic. But we don't want the beef juice. So we'll keep this separate. It'll drain out, and then we'll add it to the bacon bits as well. So we'll add it later on to it. So again, bacon fat. And now our onions. One of the biggest things to remember about onions is, especially caramelizing them well, requires liquid. It requires nice high heat right now. We'll brown them a little bit some, but they'll burn on us if we just continue to leave the high heat on. So we're using a liquid of some kind that'll slowly steam and cook the onions all the way through, and then continue the browning part that goes with that instead of the burning part, which we don't want. So with this, if you'll notice, it's in the pot itself. We're just going to continue to keep doing this. As soon as it browns, after a couple minutes, then we're going to start adding liquid. And it could be as simple as, hey, I don't have any other liquid flavorings to add. So I'll just add water. I could just some tap water, 2 or 3 tablespoons at a time. And you'll watch, it continuously breaks the onions down, slowly steaming them, cooking them through, but then also allowing them to caramelize as well. So this is a great trick in caramelizing onions in general. You could just saute a bunch of onions and have them laying around to add to any and all things that go with that. But the water trick is a great way to use it. Again, high heat, burning the onions, bad idea. So that's where we're using the liquids and whatever else to do with this. I have, in this case, because we have a little bit of beer in the queso dip, we're going to use some beer then to sweat these onions as well. So that's what this is for. I will add it in the stages as soon as the onions themselves are starting to caramelize. We've started the browning process of the onions themselves. That's what we're looking for to start that process. Again, if we just continued on, even in low heat or whatever else, eventually all the liquid evaporates and that's when we start burning them. So in this case, again, we're expediting cooking the onions fast by adding some liquids to it. So I'm going to add, let's say, a 1/4 cup or so of some of the beer. And then from that, we're just going to allow that liquid to cook down now. Again, this is a great trick. It allows the steam and the water to inject into the onions to break them down faster, to not only get things done faster, but keep the caramelization process going as well with the onions. And that's what we want. There's a good caramelized flavor with that without burning them. Okay, so now you see hear the sizzle of the pan, which means the water's evaporating, basically liquid's evaporating, and there's nothing but onions left in there too. So as soon as we hear this heavy sizzle, we're just gonna add a little bit more. I told you I add a little bit of beer beforehand. Now I'm just gonna add water to it. And we'll continuously play this game, probably one more step, and then this stuff will be done. The onions will be caramelized and cooked all the way soft. So again, we're adding that amount of liquid again, basically to start that process over again and cooking it out. So now we'll bring this back to a boil. It'll reduce down until it's done. Then by then the onions will be ready to go, and we'll take the next step. Okay, so we're still waiting this to be finished, but now I'm going to add the garlic that goes with that as well. Now the garlic can burn easily as well, just like the onions themselves. So I'm putting it in here when there's still a decent amount of liquid left in, and we'll stir that a little bit some until it's incorporated as well. Okay, so if you notice, again, we've taken about half of that original liquid on this last step out of there. Still, while there's some liquid left in it, I've now achieved what I want in cooking the onions down really well. Now I'm just going to add the jalapenos. Cook those for a few minutes. Jalapenos are in. Like I said, we're going to sweat these for just a little bit, for a minute or two, and then we're actually going to start adding the cheeses to it. And what we want is a little bit of liquid left in the pan like this as well. That helps break down these large, heavy fat-laden things to go with that. So we're looking for a little bit of liquid left in there before, excuse me, before we add this. If the pan was dry, the cheese has no way really to start melting itself, breaking it down. The heat itself will do a good job, but it'll also a chance of burning. And so again, we want a little bit of liquid left in there, just like I showed you. That's exactly what you're looking for. Okay, so now we're just going to start adding the cream cheese. Again, this is room temperature. You'll see the recipe calls for it to be room temperature. This will help the softening process happen even quicker. So we're going to add this to it, and then slowly using this wooden spoon, breaking it down and liquefying it as it goes through the pan. The next step after that will be the cheese is here, then everything else that goes in, and you'll see how it works. So again, cream cheese is in, it's still running, and I'm just using the spoon to break everything up into smaller chunks to allow it, to help it, cooking it through faster and melting it. So a little bit more care now as we watch. We're adding the cream cheese to it. We don't want to make sure it doesn't burn, but I'm breaking it into small pieces and then just continuously stirring it, melting excuse me, the cream cheese into this liquid that we have right now, and the onions themselves. Making sure we're breaking up these big chunks of the cream cheese itself. Once this is smooth and inside of there, we'll take the next step and start adding the American cheese. Okay, so if you notice, that's a nice creamy mix of the onions, the jalapenos, so the cream cheese, and a little tiny bit of the water and the beer that we had in there as well. That looks really good. Next steps will be just adding chunks. As you can see, I bought sliced American cheese that didn't have the wrappers on it because I didn't want to take all those apart. We're just going to adding cubes of this at a time, basically until it starts to melt into this mixture. So we're not going to overwhelm it. We're going to add 4 or 5 chunks of this at a time, basically. Again, we want the heat that's in the pan itself to start liquefying the American cheese. We're going to put it back on the burner in just a second. Right now I want you to get the basic gist of the next steps of doing this. So as you can see, we're just continuously adding 3 or 4 more cubes as we go along until we get it all incorporated. So breaking it up a little bit some as we go along. Again, we're really trying to watch the pan now to make sure we're not superheating it too much, and yet melting the cheese, and this agitation of stirring it back and forth will help us in that process. This looks good. Starting to become creamy as we add all that cheese. Still have some chunks in there, but that's fine. It's hot enough that's melting it as we go along. That's what we're looking for. Again, that's looking good. We're getting there. We're 2/3 of the way through right now, and that's what we're looking for, that consistency. Again, still some chunks in there, but we're going to stay with this, adding it until we get it all in. Okay, so finally, everything is mixed in really well. All the cheese is melted now. It's ready to go. And we've come down to the last little part that goes with that. It looks beautiful, really super creamy. Looks really nice, good flavors to go with that as well. Now we're gonna, in essence, add, we already have the peppers in there also, the tomatoes in there too, and this will be kind of the canned rotel part you're used to, or what else it goes in with that. So we'll add that next. Good, give it a stir, we're good there. Excuse me, chopped cilantro. And green onions. Good colors this adds, as well as the flavors. And you'll notice as we're mixing it, hey, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker. We're cooling the mix down a little bit some by adding all these ingredients. Thus why we have the beer and the lime juice at the end to thin it down a little bit some, and to give, again, good flavors to go with that. You'll notice, well, you take my word for it, it's thickening up big time as we add all this stuff. It looks great though, it looks beautiful. So last part's lime juice. Last, we're adding this also. We don't want to cook this down or cook the alcohol part out, not that there's a lot in there, but what we want is that hoppy taste that's going to go really well with the meats and the barbecue rub itself and that delicious cheese. The good part is both those liquids then also thin it down to a little better consistency that we're looking for as well. Okay, ready to bowl it up, whichever container you like. That looks beautiful. Serve with some tortilla chips. And there you have a delicious dip. Again, great for Super Bowl parties, anything in general, holiday parties, those kind of things. Well, just to have for summer break, delicious loaded queso dip with the Acme barbecue rub. Enjoy.